This radio program is PG-13. Parents strongly caution some material may be inappropriate for children under the age of 13.
The following program is sponsored by Michael W. Smith. The views expressed on the following program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership.
Arizona, Phoenix, Brother Mike, back on the radio. Welcome to HardcoreChristianity.com. Welcome to the program today. Today's Bible study, After Death Visitations. I see dead people. Hey, will you call somebody and tell them the radio program's on while I do my announcements? Really interesting show today. This is Brother Mike. I am the professional counselor at the Arizona Deliverance Center. We're downtown on 15th Avenue, just south of Osborne Road. It's a red brick building. We have 2 live services every week, Thursday and Friday nights at 7 o'clock. 2 live Zoom services every week, Tuesday at 6:30 and Wednesday at 6 o'clock. All the services contain preaching, teaching, healing, and deliverance. Our next children's service for our pre-teens who need prayer is September 7th at 10 a.m. at the Deliverance Center. Please check the website on a regular basis for our other seminars and our deliverance training class. I have a deliverance training class on the 4th Saturday of every month at noon. I also have a Sunday morning podcast, 9 o'clock. Arizona and Pacific time. All you got to do is go to twitch.tv and put in HCCADC. And you're there. Thank you for tuning in. I see dead people. I see dead people. Let's take a look at some dead people here real quick. Luke chapter 16. The rich man and Lazarus. You know the story. You've read it several times. Lazarus ends up in paradise, which used to be a section of hell that was reserved for all the Old Testament saints when they died. Since they didn't have the blood of Christ, they went to paradise because they couldn't go to heaven. And of course, Jesus went to paradise. The Greek word is paradisos. And he went there to lead captivity captive, and he took the Old Testament saints back home with him when he ascended on high. But Lazarus, as you recall, was in the torment section of hell. Lazarus and Father Abraham were in the paradise section of hell. And there was a great gulf between them, a huge separation between them, so that the people in paradise, it says, that wanted to go rescue their relatives could not do it. And the relatives burning in hell could not escape to the paradise side to get out of the torment. So there was a giant chasm between the 2 sections of hell. Hell, as you know, is located in the center of the earth. When people die, they don't go somewhere in the heavens. They go down through the gates of hell if they are not born-again Christians. Here's the story. The rich man visually could see Abraham and Lazarus across the chasm. And he said, I pray you, Father, that you would send Lazarus to my father's house. I have 5 brothers, that he may testify to them, lest they also come to this place of torment. Abraham then said, they have Moses and the prophets, let them hear them. And then the rich man says, no, Father Abraham, if one went to them from the dead, they will repent. And Abraham said, if they hear not Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded, though one rose from the dead. Now, this was a prophetic word that was quite remarkable. This is the only time in the Bible where someone prayed to a dead saint, and the results were terrible. Their answers were not given. Their prayers were not answered. Always remember that if you are involved in a religion like Catholicism that believes in praying to dead people, it is a literal waste of time. The Bible does not support that under any circumstances. And the results will be the same thing as the rich man faced here. Something interesting. There was a recent survey done by Pew Research. And I bring you the results of these surveys on a regular basis just to keep you kind of informed about the pulse of the United States. And they did a survey on seeing dead relatives. They did a specific survey on people who had communications with loved ones after they had passed away. And the results were very interesting. 53% of all Americans have had interactions with loved ones who have passed away. 46% experienced the interaction with a dead relative in a dream. 31% claimed that it took place in some other manner or in person. 31% of all Americans have had a personal exposure to a dead relative. In addition, 34% of the respondents said they have felt the presence of dead relatives in their lives. They felt a deceased family member hanging around them. 28% of the people said that they had spoken to the entity and told the deceased family member how their lives were going. 15% felt that a deceased relative had actually specifically reached out to them. 44% of the people surveyed, and it was over 5,000 people they contacted, said that they had had one of these experiences within the past 12 months. Imagine that? I mean, this is a regular, consistent phenomenon here in the United States. And here's what the survey also found. If you took people who were very religious, very committed to their religion, they tended to have less exposure to dead people. They also found that if a person has no or little exposure to religion, or is like an agnostic or an atheist, they also found that that group of people had very limited exposure to these experiences. What was amazing about it was people who are moderately religious, evangelical Christians. In other words, if you had Christians who were not super dedicated and kind of middle of the road Christians, we call them carnal Christians at the Deliverance Center, casual Christians, they had the highest rates of these experiences. 42% of them reported they had had some exposure to a dead relative, whereas agnostics came in at 34%, atheists were at 26%. What was also interesting in the survey was that black Protestant churches, black Protestants, reported 67% exposure to dead relatives, and Catholics were at 66%. Extremely high. And of course, demographically, guess what the split was? Of course, women 53%, men 35%. Men are less likely to have experiences with dead people than women. And of course, none of this is in the Bible. None of this is in the New Testament. And when it comes to the New Testament, none of this is possible. The bottom line is this: when you die, you never come back here. Whether you're in heaven or in hell, your life here is over, and you do not get a second chance to come back here. The Bible specifically teaches there is no such thing as evolution, and there's no such thing as reincarnation. It's all fabrications. The Bible clearly and without question teaches an afterlife. When someone dies, they do not die. Only their body dies. The Bible couldn't be any clearer on that. Your inner man, which consists of 4 parts, your soul, your spirit, your mind, and your conscience, leaves your body at the time you die, and it goes somewhere. If you're a born-again Christian, you're escorted by your guardian angel to heaven. If you are not a born-again Christian, no matter who you are or what religion you are escorted by demons through the gates of hell to the torment section of hell to await final judgment, the great white throne judgment, which is in Revelation chapter 20. Here's an interesting event that happened in 1 Samuel chapter 28. King Saul his system was collapsing, his kingdom was collapsing, and Israel was losing the war against the Philistines. So Saul had already backslidden and turned his back on God, and God had turned his back on Saul and gave the kingdom to King David. Well, Saul goes to a woman who has a familiar spirit in Endor, and she calls up someone out of hell, and this person is dead. And the woman goes into a seance and screams when she sees this old man come up, and she saw all these other gods ascending out of the earth. These were demons. And this demon that was impersonating Samuel manifested and told King Saul that he was going to die with his sons and go with him the next day, that he would be in hell with him the next day. Saul perceived it was Samuel talking to him, and he stooped down with his face to the ground. Can you imagine the king of Israel bowing to a familiar spirit? That's as low as it goes. And King Saul was as low as it goes. And he fainted and had a heart attack practically. And he was killed the next day with his 2 sons. Here's the bottom line. If you see dead people, those are demons. Those are not relatives. Your relatives are not coming back to you. But if you're seeing these spirit beings, that means you have an opening in your life and you need deliverance. 602-636-5800. If you see dead people and you've had visitations from dead relatives, that means that there are demons in your home, there are demons in your body, and you need to go through deliverance. I would go through it as quick as possible. 602-636-5800.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership. This program was sponsored by Michael W. Smith.